determined me as a permanent fixture for the university.
You're just a walking.
You're not wearing like the school colors or anything.
Why aren't you? Why aren't you like supporting your school? You should be wearing like
Because
green
they're offering
and
free food today.
Hey,
They offered free food.
No, they're not offering free food.
9:30 class, you find what's clean and get it on.
He finds the free food wherever it's at.
Free food, free t-shirts, whatever.
We just follow.
I have a great story about that. But
Well, we can do that, but speaking of food and whatnot, are you going to have
Oh yeah, absolutely.
food and entertainment and like things, or do they have to bring their own can of Pringles?
Well, I mean,
They could
by
buy
all means,
all
they
of
can
the
bring
above.
their own bags of Pringles, cans, whatever. But the part of the fun is that we provide food, so they don't have to leave. They can just stay right there in front of that computer. They don't have to even go out and get a breath of fresh air. We have it canned in.
you
So-
know,
You have the air canned in,
Yeah.
and
the politicians need to put a voting link in games now,
Yeah.
so that because we spend most of our time on games. So while you're playing, vote for neither. Oh no, okay, vote for
it's time for the vote for the gubernatorial candidates in Texas, right? And up pops
Mm-hmm.
the list.
We have a
I
bunch
don't
of
know why they
campers
do that.
around the voting booths.
Yeah. A bunch of people guarding the people who don't
Hey,
like.
they have a hard enough time dealing with physical product in Florida. How are they going to deal with
Well, we have tons of gaming companies here, Dallas and Austin.
virtual?
They can do it. We can do it in St. Mark.
All right, that'll be next year's
Okay.
assignment.
Sounds like a good idea.
All right, so next
Oh,
year
it'll
we're
be
going
our
to.
next
Game dev week.
game dev weekend is to develop virtual voting
That's right. That's right.
We
Russ,
can't get any more
in our
broken.
game. Yeah.
Free state level.
Russell will be running.
It's gonna be called political strike.
Okay.
You run
So
it,
Kyle,
you
you
rush
can
it.
do it. You
shoot
can
it,
edit.
right?
We can just
No, there's
BS.
no idea.
We're
I'd
Start
like
a
to
new
pull
mod
a
called
say something
Insert
something
and
that's
see.
kind of fun.
We'll just work from there.
Besides my noisy shirt.
Are you kidding? This mic picks up everything.
Yeah.
And I was listening to him go through pages of a magazine. I heard that.
So you're going to see Pan's what is
Labyrinth.
it?
Pan's Labyrinth. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's
We
the
do
one.
occasional, which I didn't send you an email. Sorry about that. We're going to see Pan's Labyrinth tonight.
What time?
I would love
10:30.
to go. I got.
Hey, NyQuil the kids.
Kid.
NyQuil the kids,
I
man.
know.
They
Just-
that's,
And
that's
that's the one
Nine
over in
Quill.
Plano, or are you talking
yeah, the
about
Legacy.
Legacy?
The best theater in town. Ooh, that's our new sponsor. It's
Also,
Cinemark.
flying saucer.
That's right. We definitely
Monday
need,
nights, 250 pint night.
You know, if Flying Saucer wasn't so loud, we could go there.
Well, they have
because
a background
YouTube
called
loves
Hello
us to
where
have beer in our hands.
it's actually really good for.
and promote school.
Yeah, but you have to pay for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
for
it's free
school, by
seat.
drinking beer
Actually,
on
If
campus.
you reserve
We
it, you pay
go
for
to
it.
a glass night on
Not like every Monday
Wednesday.
night.
Bring it on Friday.
I don't know, but I like the Flying Saucer beer checklist idea.
Are you trying to like drink them all?
Yeah, you
No, we can
drink 200
start with the
You drink 200
show.
beers and you get a free beer party for $150.
Well, then we should see if we can reserve a room. We start drinking, then we start recording, and it becomes a drunk fest, and we're all like,
No. At first it'll be social lubricant.
No, that's
what?
going to be when the
What
show.
did you just call it?
Social lubricant.
I don't think I've ever heard that term.
Really? Yeah, that's a pretty normal thing, man.
Yeah.
You don't drink, so how do you know that term?
That's how bad it is that you don't know it. Even a man
You
who
graduate
don't
from
drink knows.
UT, come on.
That's true. Well, they don't drink there. That's man's drugs.
Are you cheating? Yeah.
It's nothing that says you can't do both.
Well, that is true too.
All right, so we'll get the Flying Saucer as a sponsor. I think that would be
As
good.
we announce it.
Well, I'm starting to get
Well, you know,
building
okay, in the stuff I study with all this emerging media and whatnot, the idea that we sit and talk about something is, the advertising world is really starting to wake up to this. You know, the fact that we may say something about Flying Saucer. There was a guy, I don't know if you guys care about the podcast side of things, but Adam Curry was one of the original guys who kind of started all this. Well, he used to drink coffee in the morning when he would do his thing, and he started a coffee can make you burp. You know, it'll make you burp, right? You know, he'll sit there and he's on air, like you sneeze, well, he'd burp. And he said Senseo, which was the brand of the coffee maker, whatever he had. After a while, he started doing an experiment and found that all his listeners were beginning to identify with the Senseo thing. So anytime that he might actually burp, and Senseo, they sought, after a year, Senseo was, they were seeking Senseo as a sponsor, and it led to other kinds of things. So the fact that we mentioned Cinemark or
Cinemark.
Flying Saucer, because they're important to us.
Cinemark.
We like them.
Cinemark.
So, Activision.
Flying Saucer?
You like me some
That's right,
Call of Duty 2.
These are expensive clothes. What is this one called?
The flip side of that though is like
It really
companies are
keeps
paying
more.
people to like make posts on forums and such. So you can't necessarily trust that people are like unbiased. Just
Yeah,
giving
there's
an
that
opinion
problem with like the viral marketing that comes about because Sony did
horribly.
that All I Want for Christmas is a PSP blog,
Right.
and it turns out that it was actually just a Sony sponsored
But
blog.
if you
It
think
wasn't
about, on forums, I don't know you on a forum. You are, Knockwurst 463. I don't know you, but I know you here.
Yeah.
Can I use that screen name?
Yes, you can.
That's awesome.
It's open.
So like
Knockwurst.
people,
Speaking
like if
of
you can
food-
actually see them or you know what blog you're
Well,
like,
I
you
mean,
can trust them a
if
little
Batman
more.
was-
right. I mean, if I'm reading you and I get a sense of trust, and I begin to trust what you have to say. If I listen to you either through a podcast or I watch you on a video cast or whatever, and I like you and over time you prove to me that you know what you're doing, I'm going to be more inclined to follow something that you happen to say. The Ben Vaughn, do you know Ben?
I do know Ben.
Ben is a station manager at the UTD radio station. So he started on his blog assignment, he started posting the top 20 songs that they played for the station that particular week. I've gotten to know Ben. I am beginning to trust Ben's musical judgment and whatnot. So he goes a step further and starts putting a couple of recommendations in there. Hey, I really like this band. They sounded pretty good. This is kind of what they are. So, now Ben's building a relationship with someone who listens or reads or whatever they happen to do, and I can go out and buy it. The artist may actually sell something based on Ben's recommendation. Now, if Ben had posted his Knockwurst 463, I would never have probably trusted it.
But I bought some Knockwurst.
You would.
So
Knockwurst is underrated, right? That's the other thing we can have is Knockwurst and beer.
Yes. We need to do bangers and mash tonight. Which, you don't know what that is, sausage and mashed potatoes.
I know we got a little off topic with the gaming, but yes, I do agree with you on that. Like posting behind an avatar, putting your name on it, and the real issue there is accountability. And if you're willing to put your face and your name on something, it makes you more accountable for your opinions, and people are more likely to listen to you because they know who to talk to.
That's a huge thing too. I mean, we have a lot more access to a lot more crap these days.
Right.
and people need help sort of filtering through the crap, and if they trust your judgment, and that's kind of how Penny Arcade rolled around. I mean, all they really were in the beginning was sort of a social commentary about games and doing maybe a little bit of drawing, but now people really trust their opinion and their interpretation of what's going on. I mean, they could totally make something up if they wanted, but they sort of filter gaming news and pull out what's important.
They could.
Steve, you love Penny Arcade. You went and bought that gun based off of them, right?
Oh yeah, they got it generic a while back. I'm like, oh, this.
How many did they sell of that? How many, were there like a ton of people that went out and bought
Oh
it?
yeah.
Like they sold out in some places?
Yeah.
So,
I read an example just last night on, oh gosh, now I wish I could remember again, it's, you bought a gun,
a Nerf gun. Let's-
not a
Not a
shotgun.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean,
Sure,
you see
that's
something
not
and you
broken.
bought it, and I know they did this test. I'll have to I'll put it in the show notes, the example. But they sold, the company was able to add 5% additional business per month just based on, as the shows become popular and as people begin talking about things, these guys are actually buying into the shows. It's a little awkward at times. I mean, because now we have to stop and say, okay, we want to thank our sponsor, Heineken Beer or Dell or whoever happens to do it, and that's a bit uncomfortable for some people. But they're also beginning to find ways around that, even if it just sits on the table. American Idol's a great example.
Yeah.
You see the Coke thing every time, but you don't see a lot of other things. You just see Coke because they paid for that spot, that placement.
not the end of the show, but Tony Wu, if you want to leave, and we'll pause right now. So that
We
you
only
don't
got a
have to
minute
wait
worth
here.
of tape left.
We only have how much?
About a minute worth.
Okay, so that's how
Let's
we do
pop
the
in
show.
take two, huh?
Do you want to keep going?
You bastard.
Part two.
Yeah, no, we'll do that later. But I'd like to actually continue the discussion at a later time about, you mentioned the Avatar, and because I spend time on the, I want to say, I look at the effects of these things, the virtual world and the global world on the local world. And locally, you have to have your name associated with something because people don't trust you. Whereas globally, in avatars and Second Life or whatever, you can exist behind another name, a nom de plume or whatever you.
I am totally for sponsoring my avatar, Rusty Taka in Second Life. I will put your name, your company name on it. I'll be a NASCAR. So
Okay.
put a name, your company name on mine for sponsorship. Right now I need $700.
Okay.